tifu by uncovering a dark family secret, by user Mysteriolodolo. Alright folks, this is a tale about Heineken beer. This beer has always been a staple in my family. Some of my earliest memories of my father are him drinking from that iconic green glass with my uncles. My grandfather was a stereotypical strong patriarch of the family. He never drank, but he would spare no expense buying rack after rack of Heineken to keep everyone satisfied at every family event. He passed many years ago, but the tradition has been faithfully kept ever since, both as an homage to him and to all the wonderful memories we've made with Heineken in hand. My very first beer was a Heineken. I hated it. I've given it plenty of chances since, but every one I've ever had tastes stale and watery. I could never understand why my whole family happened to love them. Probably a matter of sophistication. I never told my father because it would have broken his heart. In fact, like a dutiful son, I would always drink one or two to join in with all the other men in the enjoyment of their beloved beer. A few days ago, my father was hosting an event and entrusted me to provide the drinks. I figured, hell, people have been downing the same old beer at these things for 40 years, let me get some other brews in the mix. I bought plenty of a few different brands that I love, Sam Adams, Dos Equis, Guinness, Bud Lime, and only one single 6-pack of Heineken. I snuck everything into the cooler so no one would figure the small proportion of Heineken in the mix unless they counted, and sat all day marveling at my own mischief. The day turns to night, and at the end of the party I look in the beer cooler. To my satisfaction, every single beer is gone, except, wait a minute, the 6 Heinekens. Very strange. I told my dad there were some Heinekens left over. Bear in mind, he didn't know what I had done, he probably figured a bunch of other ones had been consumed. Dad only drinks for special occasions, so he suggested we give them to my uncle, an infamous lover of the beer. But he had already left, so we found his son and went to give it to him to deliver. The smile immediately left his face when we told him the plan. His eyes went straight to the floor, and despite being a grown man of almost 40, I heard fear in his voice when he said it. Guys, I gotta be honest with you, my dad can't stand Heineken. We laughed because we figured it must have been a joke, but he kept staring at the floor. The smiles left our faces. We suggested he take it for himself, but he admitted he also didn't like Heineken. Well, I'm not gonna drink it, my dad said. What? Why not? Yeah, you guessed it, he hates Heineken as well. At this point, I admitted that I shared their opinion, and told them what I had done that day. Slowly, the realization of what was going on dawned on all three of us. We went around frantically to all the people at the party asking for their input. Every single one hates Heineken. Young and old, father and son, blue collar and white collar, American and foreign born. Not a living soul actually likes the beer. They all just bought it because they thought another guy wanted it. People were distraught. We've all spent so much money buying this overpriced beer for decades because everybody just assumed the other guys liked it, and everyone was too polite to say how much they didn't. All those fond childhood memories of my father and my uncles sitting on the porch are now tainted with the knowledge that Heineken objectively sucks. In ceremonial fashion, the final 6 were dumped in the backyard, the last of their kind to be seen in our household. It felt eerily like a funeral. On the bright side, everyone will actually enjoy their drinks at family events from now on. TLDR, I strayed from buying the 40-plus year traditional family beer brand for an event and accidentally uncovered the fact that everyone always hated it, but no one wanted to be the one to admit it. TIFU by getting water at a restaurant in Germany as an American, by user wow cole funny haha. I am in Germany with 20 other extended family, cousins, uncles/aunts, nephews/nieces, etc., and we got a reservation at a small restaurant in a little German town about 20 kilometers from Berlin. We told the server we were going to get one big bill and just split it among the families after we pay. The waiter came around and asked us what we were going to drink and everyone got waters except my dad, and my cousin. We ordered and just enjoyed our food. Almost everyone refilled their waters once or twice. Everyone was completely oblivious to the fact that water was €5 a cup. We got the bill and it seemed really high but we just paid and left. We looked at the receipt after we all left and it turned out we paid €100 in water. Everyone thought it was free so we had just kept getting water. An absolute foo. Walking away from that restaurant feeling very unsatisfied. Don't go, would not recommend. TLDR, went to restaurant in Germany and accidentally paid €100 in water because the dumb Amerikaner thought it was free. Edit 1. It wasn't listed on the menu. People make that assumption. Still a foo on my part, but still. Edit 2. It was tap water, not bottled. I also should have clarified that. TIFU by introducing my two crushes to each other, by user bop beep book beep bop. I am a bisexual man and I've been talking with a straight girl and other bisexual guy. I had been hitting it off really well with both of them and there was some light flirting. It was getting to the point where I was really nervous about really hitting on either of them for fear of losing the other, and I think it may have given off the vibe that I wasn't interested because sometimes I didn't flirt back. A few days ago I was talking to the girl after a class we had together and the guy dropped by to say hello. I introduced them to each other as anybody would with their friends, but I had to go to my next class and ended up leaving them both there as they kept talking. Saw them both together today and they thanked me for introducing them because they are now officially dating. Like obviously none of us were ever an item or ever even really serious, but that was tough to hear. I just laughed it off. In retrospect, I don't think either of them had any idea I was interested. At least, that's the generous interpretation. Feels bad, man. Ugh. TLDR, I introduced my male and female crush to each other and they are now dating, all thanks to me. Edit, yeah, FS my fault. Good for them, honestly. I'm not too upset. I probably would have spent years before I could just commit. Sigh. Threesome scenario is a good headcanon, so let's all just pretend I can pull that off, lol. TIFU had my mom and her friends spend 3 hours of their vacation looking for the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the ancient wonders of the world, in order to take a picture of it, me not knowing, as a self-declared history buff, that it was destroyed thousands of years ago, by user Ouroboros612. Happened roughly a month ago. My mom and her friend took a vacation to Rhodes. I've always been deep into history stuff as a hobby as well as gaming, recalling the Colossus of Rhodes from CIV and other games despite never actually having read up on it. I told my mother jokingly on the phone that I'll never forgive her if she travels to Rhodes without taking a picture of the Colossus of Rhodes, considered one of the ancient wonders of the world. After hours of looking, my mom and her friend gave up, stating it's not there. So frustrated I'm like, Mom, how can you miss it? It's literally a gigantic statue. Having told my mom lots of stories from Greek and Roman history, I had a lot of credibility on this stuff. I've always been interested and learned a lot about ancient history as a hobby. So imagine my embarrassment when I discovered it was ruined, not like a year ago, but thousands of years ago to an earthquake. My mom did bring back a tiny Colossus toy, teasing me with, "Here, I found your Colossus." TLDR. Kept nagging my mom to take a picture of the Colossus of Rhodes while she and her friend was vacationing there. They couldn't find it, because it was destroyed thousands of years ago. They spent 3 hours looking for a giant statue they couldn't miss. Edit, not sure why people is so mean, or think you know nothing of history because you screwed up a single thing, tongue sticking out, anyway. Didn't think this would get so much traction. I posted it because I don't take myself too seriously. And I was hoping this would be amusing and funny to people, that's all. I'm an aspie with ADHD and depression, no need to be cruel. TIFU by getting so drunk I, 27M, couldn't stop my GF from ghosting me and talking to other guys all night. And then I ruined everyone's night by getting mad and almost ending up in a fight, by users is _bra20. So I'm in this super embarrassing situation. RN. GF, 27F, and I, 27M, of 8 years went out last night with a group of her friends. I'm visiting my GF after being in a LDR thing since 1.5 years and it's just my 4th week here. Anyways, all of us had been drinking all day. I pre-gamed heavier than everyone else. We go out to this club and my GF says to me in front of all her friends, "Can I have random guys buy me drinks tonight?" To which I replied, "Of course, if I can buy random girls drinks tonight." Which to me at the time felt like an appropriate response. The rest of the night I literally saw my GF go from guy to guy, just talking to them, while I looked on, honestly disappointed that my GF isn't here using this opportunity to speak to me or spend time with me, or dance with me. Anyways, I was definitely the most hammered out of everyone, and her actions hurt me a lot. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to cause a scene in front of her friend group who I had met literally for the first time 2 days ago. But my displeasure quickly was evident on my face. Her guy friends then pulled me to the side and would tell me shit like it's fucked up what she's doing, but also take my GF's side saying she's not like this ever. During all this chaos, one of her girls goes up to her while she's been talking to this guy for 15 minutes and grabs her. She pulled her off that guy 3 times and told her, "Your BF doesn't look happy." That's when the guy she was talking to grabbed my GF by her wrist, and then at that point I lost my shit, tried walking up to all of them, and said, "Yo guys, what's wrong?" I had like 3 of her friends at this moment hold me back because they thought I was gonna smack the guy or something. Anyways, this ruined everyone's vibe in the night. And we went home shortly after. I was definitely drunk, underslept, and not at my sharpest. But did I deserve to be ignored the entire night by my GF at a night out with her friends? It just felt so mean of her. She didn't talk to me or dance with me all night. I know I could have pulled her off those guys myself at any moment, but I just didn't think I'd ever be in a relationship where I have to do something like this while I'm in the same damn room as my partner. I feel so humiliated and hurt about last night. I really need advice about how to navigate this situation from here. Today's the last day of our trip and then we head home. I don't want my GFS friends thinking less of her because of me. I also don't think I want to be in this relationship anymore. Am I overreacting? P.S. If you're gonna say, I should have gone up to other girls and bought them drinks, that's just not the vibe I'm in ever, when I'm out with my girl. TL, DR, GF was talking to random guys at the club in front of me. Got me feeling like shit. How the EFF do I navigate this one? Edit. So I wrote this first thing when I woke up in the morning while everyone was still sleeping. The main reason was that I expected her friends to wake up and just take her side and tell me how I overreacted last night. So I just wanted to see what the general consensus on Reddit was. That is why I posted the same post in a bunch of subreddits. I needed some opinions on this ASAP. I didn't expect this post to blow up the way it did. Those of you that went through my post history, and wondered whether I'm just fishing for karma, or making up stories. I love how my everyday life seemed like fiction to a bunch of you. Smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. I promise nothing I write on here is ever made up or exaggerated. This is not even my main Reddit account, it's a throwaway account, that I use to talk about my relationship only when things get super toxic and I don't know what to do. Sometimes I feel crazy and somehow writing on here has become therapeutic for me. It has also become a way for me to document the major shitstorms that I have been going through. And the frequency with which they happen. Whether documenting anything will ever come in handy, but it's advice that a bunch of people gave me previously. In case I ever find myself in some deep shit where I need to prove my side of the story. Update. Anyways, coming to today. None of her friends brought up what happened last night. I think it was them being respectful or giving me my space. Me and my GF talked before we went out for breakfast with everyone. She was super apologetic today. It was a lot of the usual. She cried a lot. She swore that she and the guy at the bar weren't flirting and apparently they were discussing Roe vs. Wade. I mean, fuck me right. Face with tears of joy, my phone kept blowing up all day today. I read a lot of your messages and comments. And I really appreciate all of you that took the time to write your replies and give me your opinions. I wasn't really in a very social mood today at their group breakfast, and after last night I just didn't give enough fucks to be extra nice to her friends like I usually am. That made my GF very upset. And when we finally got home, we talked about everything for hours and hours. We cried a lot. Her tears are my kryptonite. I know I talk about wanting to break up in a lot of my posts. But if it was easy I would have successfully done it by now. We have tried ending this relationship hundreds of times. Today she said if I ever want out of this it has to be me who has to end it. She also admitted to her mistake. I think it was probably her friends who made her realize that. I have also ended relationships for a lot less in my life. It's just this girl, that I can't live with or without. I talked to her about wanting to break up and move out. She cried and begged me not to go until my trip is over. I honestly don't know what the future of this relationship holds for me or what I'm gonna do. I told her about my Reddit post blowing up today. And she has asked me not to use Reddit to discuss our relationship anymore. Because apparently she says it's a toxic space where I get brainwashed. Oh, and one thing I forgot to add earlier which I think is important. I didn't get shit-faced because of just the alcohol. I had been spacing myself and drinking all day and I was feeling great. Until one of the people in our group offered me a THC vape. I was like, fuck it, why not? I took 3 drags, waited around for 15 minutes, felt nothing. Then my stupid ass took 3 more. And then after 5 minutes, everything hit me together. I was drunk and high at the same time. And everything was moving hella slow for me. That's also why I was so lazy getting from one place to the other. And this was me at 10 p.m. I spent the entire night drinking water and Red Bull trying to sober up a bit. And figure what the fuck is happening. And then yeah, shit hit the fan. When I almost got into a fight. Dr. Sorry that got a bit long. Just an update for the people that asked. And I guess update is there is no update, she apologized and cried a lot. I'm still with her.